Shalom, shalom, mishpaka. Pray all is well with each and every one of you. As I talked about yesterday, we were talking about how the buck breaking of our men and how that has played a role not only in the past but in the present as we are affected. The men, the trauma that has been passed down, the demasculinity that has been passed down. Today I will continue talking about the issues that have followed us as we are in the month that people call Black History, which the truth is Abri history is 365. Hebrew history is 365. We are a people not because of the color of our skin, but because of the lineage of where we come from. That is why we are Hebrew, which the true name is Abri, descended from our forefathers Abraham, Yishak, and Jacob. So today I'm going to talk about a quote from one of my favorite activists. It says, the most disrespected person in America is the Black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the Black woman. The most neglected person in America is the Black woman. And this is a quote by Malcolm X. Any person, I'm just going to put this out here, any person can be disrespected, abused, neglected, and unprotected, no matter race or gender. Let me put that fact out there. I was a crisis counselor for domestic violence and sexual abuse, so I have both lived personally trauma, domestic violence, sexual abuse, and I've also witnessed it professionally. So I know that abuse can impact people from all walks of life, no matter race, gender, or socioeconomic status. So all who listen, glean what you can for your healing and edification. The purpose of these videos is to get to the deeper roots. As people honor Black history, I am just wanting to make it a point to address the unaddressed, deep-rooted spiritual issues that are still going on within the Hebrew community, even with those who claim to be in the truth. So many people, most of what I do is for the truth, people who walk in Ruach and Emet. And I just know that in the Abri community, some people identify as Hebrew Israelites, some people don't, but they know who their identity is. There is a lot going on that is hidden, that is defiling, that is disgusting, that is a stench to Yahuwah's nostrils, and people like to put that under the rug and put this form of godliness on and fail to walk in Emet and Ruach. And what it's happening is it's causing not people to be healed, but further damaged. And as people talk about, Black history, it's important that we really get to these issues. So divine healing, which is Rapha, can occur. So I pray that as I do this, it will begin to help people dismantle the many delusions that we live on. And sometimes we even put this on Yahuwah. So as I read the quote, why did Malcolm X, what did it mean when Malcolm X said what he said? And does it still ring true today? I'll read it one more time. The most disrespected person in America is the Black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the Black woman. The most neglected person in America is the Black woman. So in order to say, what does it mean? Why did he say it? And does it still apply today? We have to put things in its proper context. When you look at slavery and you study slavery, The first important thing to know is that Atlantic slave trade was one that was focused on taking our history, our culture, our spiritual beliefs, and destroying our humanity. It was one that was focused on debasing us in every way possible. We weren't looked at as people, we were looked at as beasts. And I have a very strong activist mindset. Even before I knew who I was it just distraught me to know the history, reading the books of how they will describe us, how they talk about us like nothing more than an animal. And as I talk, I really encourage, if you have not, read the Willie Lynch letter. I have it recorded on this channel with the restored names of Yahuwah. It is important to know the enemy's plan and what he did to us as a people. So as we come out of that, we are able to diligently pray effectively, seek Yahuwah effectively, and dismantle the curses that have been placed upon us as we turn back to Yahuwah. So a woman that was in the slavery was identified as a Negro wench. This was a woman that often was maybe a young teenager. As soon as she started her menstrual cycle, that was what she would be called. She would be paraded naked, put on the platform for sale to see how much she could reproduce, if she would have many children, and then honestly for men's perversion. The captors who had her would probably look at her, and if they desired her, I'm sure they would buy her. Because the truth is, as much as it doesn't get talked about, what they call jungle fevered a lot of the women. They did sleep with the women. They weren't just having them to work on the fields, but they themselves were sleeping with these women. So this is important to think about. Women in this time frame were stripped of everything. They had no safety, they had no protection, they had no control. And when you read the Willie Lynch letter, a point I'm going to bring out is about division. Division of the color of your skin. Are you light? Are you dark? Division of gender, male against female, female against male, and division against age. Are you young or you're old? They created all these divisions. But one of the most powerful things when you listen to the book, it talks about how they would literally, like I talked about yesterday, buck break men. And what this did, they would make the other slaves watch. So imagine if you were married to the man that was being buck broke, and you see his masculinity stripped from him, and you see that this man has no power, no ability to protect you. This is what the masters thrived on. They were hoping and knowing that this woman would not be able to have a covering in her husband and the men of her community, of her nation, any longer. And through this left the woman uncovered and dependent on the master. And through this psychological programming, they knew that the women, after seeing men buck broken, they would cleave to their young children, the men that they have, and try to protect them, where the man would be more nurtured and become more feminine, and then the daughter would be taught to be more independent. So a reversal of roles took place. So the man was now becoming effeminate, while the daughter was taught to be independent and dependent on her master. So going out and doing things, knowing that her financial and well-being was in her master alone. That is what the programming was, and that definitely still was very much alive and well in Malcolm X's time. Women were also very much sexualized. As I said, the slave owners would sleep with these women, and then the woman would also be bred. They were taught, if you study history, they have a term called a black Jezebel, which was meaning that the black woman loves sex. The black woman was made to just be sexualized. It doesn't bother her. It doesn't hurt her. It's not rape if you sleep with her. You can do what you want to her. That is what they were being trained, the captors, and they were also trained that the black woman had no feelings. So she was stripped to even feel. So through all of that, the black woman was raising the master's children, breastfeeding the master's children, trying to raise her own if hers didn't get sold, and oftentimes stripped of her husband. And he often could have been sold somewhere else, killed, or a runaway. So the black woman had to learn to depend on her and subconsciously even on the master. So, and even though when they supposedly set the slaves free, true freedom, hasn't come. So in Malcolm X's day, when he made that statement that the black woman is the most disrespected, the black woman is the most unprotected, the black woman is the most neglected, it was spot on. The black woman had to do a lot. The black woman was often raising her own children. The black woman also had to work. The black woman had to do it all. And even then they had values. But I even know stories from my great-grandmother. My grandfather would drink, waste all the money, and my grandmother would have to find ways to come up with the money to meet the slack for all her 8 children. These things, even though slavery was ended, had very much still left the black woman in a very vulnerable place, because the black men, not all of them, but many of them began to even hate the black woman. As I said in the Willie Lynch letter, it teaches them to hate one another. Let's make the black man hate the black woman. Let's make the black woman hate the black man. So subconsciously, this is already playing out. So many men would get drunk, beat, and abuse their wives. And women would often either stay, sometimes they would flee, but the man would come back, and they stayed in these marriages. This is how she was unprotected. She was dependent on doing what she could and getting help where she could. Through the trauma of being raped and abused. If you study sexual assault, one way a victim, oftentimes when they get abused, copes with the abuse is oftentimes becoming hypersexual. So this is over generations, but many of the women throughout programming and generations became more and more hypersexual, where they welfare didn't help, and it caused black women to have children and be okay with having children without the men. More and more and more throughout time, you will see this, leading us to today, where there's very clear the independent mindset that has taken place. So is the black woman more protected now? Is the black woman more respected now? Is the black woman not neglected now? No, all those things still exist, but the delusion that the woman is able to control her environment is very much in play. And through our captivity, the woman has been the spoil, has become the booty, and has been a reproach. And really the nation of Yashua as a whole was a reproach. But I'm going to read these definitions, and I'm going to go back and read some scriptures. So the definition of booty is valuable stolen goods, especially those seized in war. A spoil, goods stolen or taken forcibly from a person or place. To diminish or destroy the value or quality of. This is a spoil. To diminish or destroy the value or quality of. A prey, an animal hunted or killed by another animal for food. A person who is helpless or unable to escape attack. Victim. To seize and eat something. To do violent or dishonest acts. Robbers who preyed on travelers. To have a harmful effect. So this is the definition of prey. Spoil and booty. So the woman was the prize. If you know, in every aspect of a war, the woman is the spoil, or what you would call the booty. And through this captivity, the woman was the booty, and she also became the spoil. She was demoralized, devalued, not only by the captors, but by her own. They developed this massive plan to destroy the value of a woman. So even men became hateful towards a woman. If you listen to what you would call black music today, hip hop, rap, it's often filled with the degrading of a black woman, calling women bees and hoes, saying, that about just having sex with her, I don't need that, be demoralizing her. And as I brought out in the beginning, when we were put into captivity, they identified us as not human, but beast. And even though people think that they are free, they still have a mindset today that they're operating as a beast. So they are calling their woman a dog, and they think that that is okay. Women are degrading the man, and they think that that is okay. But the level of the degrading of a black woman is the highest of all, across all nations. The woman today have embraced it and have found their value in being nude and naked and half naked, that their worth is in how curvy and big their booty is. They have embraced it and become, oh, it's okay, a man's not going to use and abuse me, so I will become the one who abuses and uses the man. This is just one aspect on one side of the fence. Then you have the other side of the fence where a woman wants to do right by a man, but a man has been so corrupted in his mind that he doesn't know how to love a black woman, because the truth is that from the foundation of his life, he was cultivated in an environment that made him hate black women. He was cultivated in an environment that gave him nothing but rage and resentment toward a black woman. So he takes that out on every woman that he deals with. This is the culture. And the sad part is, through all of this, the black woman became haughty in sin. Through all of this, the black woman lost not only her value, but lost the love for herself and her own soul. So now you have people, whether it is in what you call the Hebraic awakening, or you call the truth, or if you call Christianity, if you call even Muslims, that many of these women subject themselves to horrendous amounts of abuse. And the truth is, in themselves, they think that is They're thinking that's what they deserve. They're conditioned to believe this is the way that I bring honor back to my home. This is the way I must suffer. This is the way that I have to live to show that I am worthy. But it's not. And I believe, as I was seeking Yahuwah, and I did this video last week about what is missing. What is missing is the forgiveness of ourselves, the lack of love for ourselves, our souls, and our being, and the lack of realizing the sacredness, the kudash, the set apart people that we are. If you know that you are worth more than gold, you will never allow yourself to be abused and degraded in the rates that many of our women have allowed in this so-called awakening. And it is unfortunate that the council has not been led by the counsel of Yahuwah, but led by their own intellect. Many people are told to endure this abuse. Many people are told that if they don't allow this abuse, that means they are not in subjection and in submission to Yahuwah. But when you look at Yahuwah and for who he truly is, Yahuwah loves his children. Yahuwah never wanted his daughters of Zion to be abused. He even gave Musha, if they want to treat that woman off and they find some uncleanness in her, let him write a letter of divorcement. There will not be where a man's just going to be angry and malicious and hateful to his wife. That's not going to be. And let her return to her own house where she has inheritance of her father. These are the things that Yahuwah did and put in play in Torah to let a woman know that she was of value. And he also said, you will not be whoring out my daughters of Zion. It shall not be named amongst you in all Yashrael. But today, people have manipulated Yahuwah's word and made people feel that I have to stay in abusive situations. I have to stay in sullied and defiled situations, even at the expense of my sanity, even at the expense of my children, even at the expense of my health, even at the expense of my finances. These are the manipulation tactics that have been going on. Why? Because the black woman is the most disrespected. The black woman is the most devalued. The black woman is the most oppressed. The black woman is the most neglected and unprotected. But Yahuwah is our protector. So when we say that we know Yahuwah, and we choose to be cultivated in these acts that dishonor him, is that Yahuwah, or is that us not knowing him? Is that the delusion that we built, that Yahuwah, I have to stay in this to show you my worth? Yahuwah knows our worth. Yahuwah, I have to stay in this so you will intervene. Yahuwah will intervene when we put our pride and our perceptions and our delusions aside and acknowledge, Yahuwah, I did this all wrong. That's when he will intervene. That is when he will come in the midst. When we say we did it wrong. But oftentimes it's like, no, Yahuwah's in this, but he didn't even assign you to it. We're staying in these horrendous things in the name of Yahuwah, and not really repenting towards Yahuwah. I'm going to try to read a few verses. I have a few more minutes on my phone, so I'm going to try to go quick. In Deuteronomy 28, it says, I'm going to start at 29. And you shall grope at noonday as the blind gropes in darkness, and you shall not prosper in your ways. You shall be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save you. You shall betroth a woman, and another man shall lie with her. You shall build a house, and you shall not dwell therein. You shall plant a vineyard, and shall not gather the grapes thereof. And that is Deuteronomy, Devarim 28, 29 through 30. Going down to 36 and 37, Yahuwah shall bring you and your king, which you shall set over you, unto a nation which neither you nor your fathers have known, and there shall you serve other Elohim, wood and stone, and you shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whether Yahuwah shall lead you out, or whither Yahuwah shall lead you. You shall beget sons and daughters, but you shall not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. And then verse 41 says, and they shall be upon you for a sign and for a wonder, and upon your seed forever. Therefore shall you serve your enemies, which Yahuwah shall send against you, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. He shall put a yoke of iron upon your neck until he has destroyed you. 49, Yahuwah shall bring a nation against you from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies, a nation whose tongue you shall not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor shall favor to the young. And this is the curses. So the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the woman, his wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. And this already shows you the curses, that they will have a fatherless generation. They're going to resent being love the wife of their youth. So really, if you're in the truth and really have turning back to Yahuwah, then these curses should start uplifting off of you. And it's important that we understand that. The reason why many people are in the condition where homes are being destroyed is it's a curse. It's sin that has caused that to be upon us. Through repentance, those curses shall be uplifted. When we deceive ourselves and say, well, this is just the curses, or this is what Yah wants me to endure, Yahuwah is not going to intervene, because we haven't acknowledged, like, this is not what Yahuwah wants me to endure. He wants women to love themselves and realize that they are a set apart daughter of Yahuwah, that they are an Ezer Kenegdo, or helpmeet, made to help a man be the best version of himself. We are truly the counter opposite of a man. The enemy has defiled that. The enemy has tried to destroy that. The enemy wants us to believe that we are nothing. But really, we are Yahuwah's daughters, who he loves. And he wants us to humble ourselves, to turn away from all wickedness, all foolishness, and repent. And acknowledge that, yes, Yahuwah, we have been a reproach unto you. We no longer want to be a reproach, but we want to submit unto you, oh Yah. We want to serve you with all of our heart, with all of our mind, with all of our soul. We don't want to put our confidence in the man, not our captors, but we put our confidence in you. We want you to do the restoration. We can't restore it, because the word says, those that try to build a house labor in vain if Yahuwah is not building that house. So it's important that we really understand these things, that houses may be restored. And a woman is not necessarily supposed to divorce a man, but if she is in danger for her life, if she is in a place where she cannot mentally function, if she is in a place where her children are starting to think it's okay to abuse their mother because that is what they see being taught at home, that is not a safe environment for the woman. My sisters, my mothers, my daughters, it is time that we love ourselves and really allow Yahuwah to be the forefront, to cultivate us in his Ruach HaKodesh, his wisdom, that we will be the children of Yahuwah that we are called to be. Because it says the woman that fears Yahuwah is to be praised. So I'm going to end it there. Much shalom and much ahava.